Are you tired of Eric Adams yet?
Let me tell you how tired I am of Eric Adams.
Tell me. Tell me what you
He's
want.
not my mayor.
She said, I don't live there.
I don't live there, but he's just so frustrating. And I think what's frustrating too is that everybody else is frustrated with it.
Yeah.
So it's kind of hard to avoid him. You would think that I would live in my little bubble because what he's doing don't really have much to do with me, but it's so hard to avoid him.
Yeah, because Eric Adams is doing all type of foolishness and ignoring all the real problems. But anyway, let's talk
He
about his latest move.
likes-
Oh, you cut out. What'd you say?
I said he likes to grandstand.
Talk about it. I mean,
He
with his
wants
night,
to make
with his kind of nightlife, how could you not?
right. He wants to make sure that when he's no longer mayor, everyone remembers that he was.
Oh, they're gonna remember. Don't worry.
Well,
But let's tell the people what the hell we're talking about.
uh-huh.
So Eric Adams, uh, and the city of New York really
Mm-hmm.
are targeting social media, the same as the feds. If you have been paying attention, you know that most of the owners or the top dogs, CEOs of social media websites were recently under fire from the government about their bad behavior and things they should or should not be held accountable for. And Eric Adams, on behalf of New York City, is suing social media platforms, folks. And he's not holding back. He's suing Meta for Facebook and Instagram's participation. He's suing YouTube and the kids' favorite, Snapchat. Yes, folks,
Yeah,
Snapchat.
I
The
think
app that
TikTok was on
adults probably
too
stopped using a long time ago.
a long time ago.
Yeah, I only know of two groups of people who are on Snapchat: the kids and a group I rather not mention on this platform.
I know which one you're talking about. So yeah,
Yes, yes. So,
yeah, which is a bizarre, two bizarre categories to have to say together. But
yep, they're opposite ends of the spectrum,
mm-hmm.
quite literally. Um, yeah. So this is the move. I think we have a number actually. Do you know the number of how much the lawsuit is for?
No.
Let me pull it up. Trying to make sure this mic don't make too much noise.
Well, while you're looking that up, I'll just say that they're suing because
Oh yes, very important to say that. Thank you so much, co-host. Go ahead.
they're suing because of, I guess you could call it community safety. I don't know if it really has a term. I'm sure it does, but it's basically to try to police social media platforms in an effort to protect the mental health of children.
Mm-hmm. That's what he said.
My question is though, and I know some things are unavoidable, but my question is how do we get all the way to a child's mental health
Come
with
on.
a social media platform? Doesn't that kind of start at home?
It does start at home. Yes, it does.
So, and I'm not saying, listen, I don't think mental health is that simple. I don't think the conversation is that black and white, but social media, doesn't that get policed by parents? Or shouldn't that be policed by parents? Maybe I'm jumping the gun here. But I'm a little bit confused. As private companies, what are social media platforms supposed to do? And I guess maybe that is what this is questioning. What is their responsibility? Because they have safeguards in place.
Right.
You have to be
Quote unquote.
13 or 14 or whatever it is to get on TikTok. Now I know The kids don't go by that.
No, the kids lie, and a lot of them lie with their parents' permission so they can have access to these apps.
Right. So again, I ask the question, whose responsibility is it?
That is the question.
And maybe I don't know what it is kids are doing or finding on social media. I would imagine there's some level of bullying that's happening. I know bullying has left the classroom and gone to the internet.
Yep.
Um, so I'm sure that has something to do with it. Also,
Hmm.
just like the idea of watching someone else live a life that you want
Hmm.
or feeling unhappy about your life and seeing other people seemingly flourish in theirs can also create um, bad thoughts, I guess. I don't know. This is a really interesting topic to me because I just feel like it's very complicated. I don't know. What do you think? You're
Well,
a dad.
before I get to what I think, yeah, I am a dad, and a dad who has beef with kids being on social media. But first, let's get to what exactly is happening. So,
Okay.
this is
Got a
according to
little ahead of my,
CNN. What'd you say?
I said I got a little ahead of myself. Look.
No, no, you're supposed to express your opinion. That was great, and you gave me time to scroll, so you did great right there. CNN says New York City is suing a handful of social media networks, alleging their platforms designs exploit young users' mental health and cost the city $100 million in related health programs and services each year. Um, quote, a large burden. These issues, the lawsuit states, impose, quote, a large burden on cities, school districts, and public hospital systems that provide mental health services to the youth. Um, and Eric Adams is quoted saying New York is, I guess they forgot the word the, or maybe he didn't say the word the, but the quote is NYC is first major American city to take combined steps of this magnitude and call out the danger of social media clearly and directly, just as the Surgeon General did with tobacco and guns. Also, before we keep going, I want to just say that some of these social media people have responded.
Okay.
Platforms have responded. It says here a Snap spokesperson told CNN the platform was, quote, intentionally designed to be different from traditional media with a focus on helping users communicate with close friends and by opening up directly to the camera rather than to a feed of content. While we always have work to do, we feel good about the role Snapchat plays in helping close friends feel connected, happy, and prepared as they face the many challenges of adolescence, the spokesperson said. Meta, the parent company of Instagram and Facebook, said it offers more than 30 tools and features to support them and their parents. Quote, we've spent a decade working on these issues and hiring people who have dedicated their careers to keeping young people safe and supported online. Similarly, a TikTok spokesperson said it supports young users with various tools such as automatic time limits. This is news to me, I didn't know that. And regularly partners with experts to understand emerging best practices. YouTube parent company Google also said it works with mental health and other experts to give age appropriate experiences and potential controls. Quote, the allegations in this complaint are simply not true, said a Google spokesperson.
So,
Um,
so
hold on one second. Let's get a youth them real quick. Hey, you could just stand right there. I just wanted to ask you a question. Did you know TikTok had time limitations in the settings for kids? No, she is shocked. She don't know what the hell I'm talking about. Thank you. That's it. You can go now. Thank you very much. There you go. So that's my 14-year-old child. Well, almost 14. Uh, for my 14-year-old kid who lives on social media and didn't know that there were age limitations on her favorite app. Excuse me, time limitations on her favorite app.
I mean, I know that there's a lot of screen time stuff built in these days.
Mhm.
Um, I think I've even seen it. I think Meta even has screen time settings where
Okay.
you can set it. I've never tried to use it. I'm pretty good at policing myself, but I know there are some people who say like they need that. They need to be able to shut down their screen time at a certain time or um between certain hours.
Right.
So that's not surprising to me. I guess my question though is again, like I know parents who between certain hours there are no phones and tablets,
Okay.
right? Like they're not relying on the apps to dictate to their kids when screen time stops. They're enforcing when screen time stops.
Right.
Um, so again, and maybe I sound like a broken record, but again, I ask, how involved should social media platforms be in this process? I think that they have to create, I think it's their responsibility to create safe environments for people. I don't think that I don't think that it should be a free for all the way that the internet once was. I don't think it should be like that. I think that you do have to have protocols in place to deal with people who are being harmful or violent or whatever it is, negative in some way. I think there should be things in place for that. I think in terms of the type of content you see, like whether it's explicit or violent or vulgar, I think they have a responsibility to control those things within their platforms, at least to a certain degree. But in terms of exposure to any of it, I, I don't know. I kind of feel like that starts with the person who put the phone or the tablet in your hand.
Right.
Um, I don't know. Maybe I'm not looking at it the right way. Maybe I'm not understanding, and maybe I need to do a little bit more research on um, the perspective of New York City because I get it. Like I get community guidelines. I get that needs to exist. I think it needs to exist for adults too. I don't think it's just children, but then I just wonder like if I know that as an adult I have to police myself, my expectation is not that children will police themselves, but I guess my expectation is that someone who's in their life or who's close to them or the person who knows they're on social media it also has a hand in this.
Yes.
So I don't know. I I'm a little. This is a little complicated for me because I'm like I don't really know what do they expect the outcome to be here is my question.
They being Mayor Eric Adams and his administration. Oh, I have no idea about that answer. That's probably the only thing I can't answer out of everything you said. I
Mm.
don't know what their expectation is. Um, Perhaps it's just for Eric Adams to have another thing on his resume, to say I fought for the kids of New York City. I don't know. Perhaps it's so when he leaves office, he could say, listen, I was in there fighting the good fight and trying to change the kids' lives. I don't know. But let me answer some of the things you said. Um, the social media platforms, when you sign up, ask you questions. Most of them, not all of them. They ask you questions about your age. The kids lie. The kids know that they have to lie to move forward.
Right.
That's not a new thing.
Yeah. That I
When
know.
we were kids, there were websites that we went on as adolescents that we did not belong on, and we lied about our age. You're going to lie to get what you want in
Of
those
course.
circumstances.
It's like
But
a liquor website. All you gotta do is be able be able to do the math and figure out what year you would have been 21.
right. Um,
So yeah.
no, absolutely correct. So all they got to do is lie, and they quickly bypass the quote unquote uh, restriction, right? once you're on the app and it assumes you're above a certain age, there are no restrictions. So it is a free for all,
Yeah.
whether that is people half naked or whether it is extremely vulgar verbal content. Because there are times, which there was an instance here at home where my kid wasn't doing anything wrong. She was scrolling, and her TikTok for you page was, if you just look at it, it looked like nothing was wrong. It was someone painting. Actually, it wasn't even the person painting. It was like, the painting being coming to life, so to speak. But a person was cursing and saying things that a kid shouldn't be hearing. Visually, there was nothing wrong, but
Right.
the audio, which was original audio from that content creator, was not kid appropriate. And that's a problem that is not really being addressed. Once you're on the platform, whatever is there, much like everywhere else on the internet, is at your fingertips.
Right.
Now, as far as the lawsuit stating that this is harming kids' mental health, yeah, that's true. It harms everyone's mental health. There's a study that came out not too long ago. I can't remember exactly where. I'll try to find it over the weekend and bring it. Recite the place on Monday. Cite the place on Monday. But a study came out that shows that anyone who is on social media for more than 3.5 hours a day, it's causing damage to you mentally. Anyone, that is adults, children, anyone. And the reason why is because it is overloading and burning out your dopamine receptors. That's the part of your brain that says, this feels good. I like this. Here's a quick example. When we post something, we get a dopamine rush when we get a like, a comment, etc. And so being on social media messes with your dopamine receptors. You're putting them in an overworking mode. They cannot shut down because of the quote unquote doom scroll, as it's now called. And so, yes, to what you said, let's get there. You have to be able to police yourself and say, hey, enough is enough. Let me put this down. You have to be able to say, well, I came up here for 20 minutes. Let me put this down. When parents allow children to simply doom scroll without any provisions in place, without any restrictions, without saying, hey, here's your phone after dinner. You can scroll for the next hour and do whatever, and then you have to put it away or whatever. Without any of those things in place, then you're forcing a child to police their own usage of the phone.
Right. Yeah.
That doesn't matter whether it's text, calls, or social media. You have now put the onus on the child. You are now telling the child without words, hey, it's up to you to block the half naked people. It's up to you to not listen to the X rated stories. It's up to you to say, hey, it's time to put this away. And that, my friends, is the first problem. The first problem is kids are kids. Most children's brains, everybody's brain who's not a certain age, your brain is still developing. You don't really understand all of the things in life. And even as adults, there's plenty of things that we're learning on a daily basis. Unless you taught your kid how to police themselves on social media, they will not know how. It's also not a child's responsibility to police themselves in any way. That is what parents are supposed to do. I have said this once, I've said this twice, I've said this many times, and I will say it again. The real problem is a lot of people will say, well, then tell parents to tell the kids to get off of social media. Sure, that sounds easy, except there's a problem. How do you tell your kid to stop being addicted to the thing you're addicted to?
That's a fair question.
How do you turn to your kid and say, hey, get off of TikTok while you're scrolling on TikTok? You see, then you would have to be able to be cognizant enough to know I have a problem.
Right.
And I have to work on fixing this problem. I have to get rid of this social media addiction, this dopamine addiction that I have given myself. And really, we haven't given ourselves. That is where the companies are guilty. They have created devices, they have created this platform, this software that is highly addictive and intentionally given it to us. It's not an experiment, it's purposefully done. And so, yes, on that, that's on them. And the government has said they're trying to restrict it for various reasons. Another topic for another time. But it's hard to just stop something that you're addicted to. And not only are you addicted to it, but so is your child. So, how do I say to my kid, hey, you can't have any more ice cream while I'm eating ice cream?
Right.
That's a challenge.
That's why you gotta
And
hide
that
ice cream
is,
in the back of the freezer.
that's why you got to not have ice cream. That's why you got to
Well,
be
not have ice
cognizant and
cream, but I'm saying
realize,
if it's in the house, you gotta put it at the back of the freezer.
right. And so,
I'm kidding, but
I know. So there's a lot of things that could happen. There's a lot of things that should happen. Screen time limitations are a good thing. I'm old. I believe kids don't need phones. I know in today's world of 2024, that makes me sound like a great great grandpa, and that's fine. But the reality is, kids don't need phones. The quote unquote emergencies everyone fakes about, they really aren't real. You could get your kids plenty of other devices for those emergencies. And here's what's crazy: there are phones that exist just for emergencies, where it programs only 3 to 5 numbers and they are only called for emergencies. You can very easily get your kid that phone. They don't need the iPhone 15 and the, Galaxy Ultra 2023. They don't need those devices. We give them to them at 4 years old, 5 years old, 2 years old, and we create monsters. The problem is we're addicted to these devices. We are letting these devices babysit our children, hence creating multiple problems and destroying the first layer of defense, which is you, the parent.
no, I hear that. I hear that. I think it's such a weird time. It's such a not a weird time, but it's such a different time now than what it once was. You know, kids playing outside and stuff.
What? What's
It's
outside?
like so strange. Kids don't have like neighborhood friends anymore. Remember, you used to be able to just go outside and like play with the neighborhood kids because everybody would be outside. Like
Yeah.
that world doesn't exist anymore, and I don't want to sound like grandma, but I do think that's kind of a factor here. Um, it's like I'm of two minds because I think that this is the world that they're growing up in, so they're living in a very connected world. And so I kind of feel like to completely disconnect them is not beneficial. It's kind of like, well, for at least for me, thinking about like when I was a kid, yeah, there was playing outside, or like for us, it was we'd go to my grandmother's house and we had a bunch of cousins and we'd play with them and go outside with them and go to the park and whatever. But there was also that element of like when you're not in school and you want to talk to your friends, you call them on the phone. It was a landline, but you called them on the phone. They now have these devices that are portable and they can be out wherever and connect with their friends. They can FaceTime, they can Snapchat, they can send a text message, they can call if they want to call. They'll probably FaceTime, but So I don't it's like I feel like I'm a broken record when I say balance in all things, but I think that there has to be some sort of happy medium between not being connected at all. And I'm not talking about 4 year olds, just so we're clear. Because I know you mentioned like there's small kids that have phones and whatnot. Not
Oh
really
yeah, I
talking
mean
about
today
them.
babies have tablets with no educational platforms on those tablets, just YouTube.
That's odd.
And go ahead, fam.
But yeah, no, I understand. But I guess I'm talking a little about a kid who's a little bit older, probably school age and older. Um, so it's like you don't want to completely disconnect them, but you also have to find some sort of balance
Sure.
between them living in existing in a connected world and a sense of reality. Listen, I was with my nieces the other day and I was like, phones on the table. We're going to watch a movie.
Right.
Because it drives me crazy to see them on the phones all the time.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you have not popped your head up for even 5 minutes in over an hour. And to me, that drives me crazy because I'm someone who can totally forget my phone at home and be fine for the rest of the day.
Right.
There are people who will move mountains to get back home to get their phone because they can't imagine life without. That's not me. So, so I don't know. I guess, like you said, the apps do have a social responsibility, um, and a responsibility to, as I was saying before, and a responsibility to keep people safe, in their communities that they create, or they facilitate, I should say, because they create the environment for these communities to happen. But yeah, you still gotta find. I mean, it takes a village. So it can't just be that Snapchat is solely responsible for little Johnny and his obsession with Snapchat and, the kids who beat each other up on and post it online. I'm making
Right.
stuff up.
No, clearly.
But it has to be, like you said, they can't police themselves. There has to be some sort of commitment on both sides.
Yeah, because you're not even sitting there and watching the feed.
Right.
It would be different if your kid was sitting right with you and y'all were scrolling together.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that is a dope recipe. You want to try to make that? Ooh man, wear that outfit, man. That get ready with me was pretty fly. You want an outfit like that? Let's go shopping tomorrow and get you that outfit.
Right.
That would be different. But you're not.
Right.
You're in one corner on your device. They're on the complete opposite corner on their device, or you're in your room with your device. They're in their room with with everybody's in their opposite places on there's neutral corners on their devices, and you have no idea. I don't know what my kid watches on TikTok and Instagram, and I hate Snapchat. I don't think Snapchat should even exist, especially for kids. Why do they have a device where something can disappear in 24 hours?
It
So if
seems
I go get your phone right now, I don't have any idea because everything is gone from 24 hours ago, unless it was a text you saved or a picture you saved.
yeah,
Nah,
that
nah.
can be dangerous.
I mean, it could all be dangerous in various ways, but that's what I'm saying. Because they're not. My point is, we're not even doing that, right? And I say we because I mean, all of us, and I'm guilty of it too. And my kid scrolls on social media, and at this point, I'm not sitting next to her and scrolling with her. She wouldn't want me to do that today. She's
Right.
been on all those social media platforms for years. She feels it would be intrusive. If I call her back out, she's gonna say, "No, Dad, that's violating my privacy." But that's wrong. That's wrong too, because you're a kid. You don't have privacy.
Yeah.
And that's not her fault or any kid's fault. That's the parents' fault.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I totally understand.
If a car is coming, you would protect your kid from the car. If a burglar
Right.
breaks in the house, you'll protect your kid from the burglar. But the reason you don't see social media as one of those things, and the reason someone will hear this and say, "Man, he's being very extreme," is because you don't see it as a threat. And because, once again, you're addicted to it. So you're welcoming the burglar. Hey, what's up? What you want, the TV this time? Go ahead. We don't even really watch TV anymore. Take it. It's 4K. Go ahead.
It's all we're all curious. Maybe some of us more than others, but we're all curious. So think about I just think about being a kid, and like, I was the curious kid. I wanted to, you hear something, you're like, "Ooh, what are they saying?" Or you see something and you're like, "Ooh, what's that?" Your your instinct is to want to know what this is or what's going on. And so it could be extremely difficult to say, I don't think I should be looking at this, or, you know, whatever it is. Most kids are probably not going to do that. So I think it's obvious what needs to happen here. I don't know how a lawsuit against these platforms will go. It'll probably see some hearings or something like that. I feel like the courts typically indulge um, in these battles with the social media platforms.
Hmm.
So I wouldn't be surprised if this went somewhere, just at least for a little while,
Right.
and they make them plead their cases. Um, but but yeah, I don't know. As far as the lawsuit goes, I have no idea where this would even go
No,
and
I don't
what
think it's going to
else
get
they would
very far.
face. So
Yeah, because as the conglomerate, all I got to do is present the tools that I've created.
mhm.
Like that TikTok feature I didn't even know existed, for
Right,
example, that my kid didn't know existed. So
right.
that's the argument right there. Hey, we know it's 3.5 hours and more is damaging. That's why we put this limitation here.
Or now we're okay, so you guys are saying that it's not visible because parents are saying they didn't know about it. Now we're going to put a pop up. And if you're between this age and that age, when you get on or periodically or whatever it is, there's going to be a pop up that offers this
Right.
setting or whatever. Yes, though they will make whatever modifications that are probably really easy for their engineers to
Yeah,
go in and fix
of
and,
course.
make the problem go away.
Yeah.
But yeah, I didn't expect us to talk for that long about this topic.
Oh, I knew it would be a deep dive.
Yeah.